Dear brothers, this year we celebrate the foundation day of our congregation in the midst of the pandemic virus that is affecting the globe. In fact, the European countries which were affected initially very much are making progress, and the virus is affecting more people in the other continents. Now we have more Claretians infected than at the beginning of the virus in April-May time. And this calls for us to be responsible and cautious in the way we go about our mission and life. I would like to offer some reflections on this day, also in connection with the 150th anniversary of the death of our founder. I like to share with you on the theme of responsibility, which we as individual Claretians and as a congregation should assume for our life and mission in the church. We look at our founder and learn the beauty of a vocation where he has responsibly collaborated with the plan of God for him and for us in the church. We shall look at the three agents or three presences in this dynamics of Claretian vocation. We have God taking initiative and calling our founder, and his own responsible collaboration or response, or his exercise of the ability to respond to the call of God. And the third, the community of the first community, that we are born as a community in the church, and therefore the collaboration of the brothers for a joint response to the call of God for a missionary vocation in the church. And in this dynamics, I like to focus on the role of each one and the responsibility of each one in building up our response to God. The foundation of our congregation was preceded by a personal journey of intimacy with the Lord, aided by grace and by the guidance of the Spirit through various signs. He abandoned his own plans for textile business in textile industry, and entered the seminary. And there is a progressive abandoning of many of his plans, like the security of a parish when he let himself be an itinerant preacher, and then calling of the like-minded people to form a community of evangelizers, and the continuous journey following the call of God, even having to let the congregation be at the mercy of God's providence when he had to go to Cuba. So there is a life of fidelity or responsible fidelity to God's call on the part of our founder. And we see the other group of the co-founders collaborating and being in communion and communication with the founder, so that his absence was made up by other responsible collaboration with the project of God. In this sense, we see the responsibility of our founder and the exercise of responsibility on the part of the co-founders made it possible that they allowed the congregation to be shaped according to the plan of God. Assuming responsibility for one's vocation and mission is not walking on a red carpet. It involves taking up one's own cross and following the Lord, facing moments of persecution, ridicule, calumnies, even exile. And our founder had to live through very difficult moments in his life. It was possible for him because he could hold on to the finger of God like a child and walk forth with the confidence that he is also accompanied by his loving mother because of his own confidence in the heart of Mary, or his own affection as a son of the heart of Mary. In this sense, we are accountable as sons and as disciples. We are disciples, not servants. We are sons and not slaves. Therefore, we are accountable and responsible as sons and disciples. And we cannot abdicate that. So in this sense, we build up our congregation together as brothers, sons of the heart of Mary, living responsibly our identity as the sons of the heart of Mary and disciples of the Lord. Responsibility is sometimes better understood when we think of irresponsible behavior, irresponsibility for one's own vocation, irresponsibility in the management of finances, irresponsible relationships. In various ways, we can abdicate our responsibility for our vocation and mission, and it will certainly cause a lot of damage to oneself and others. The allies of irresponsibility is blaming others for one's choices, justification of what is done, and rationalization of irresponsible actions. The antidote for irresponsibility is to create a culture of accountability and transparency before God, one's own conscience, and to the community. We know that our founder was not only very compassionate, he was also demanding on himself and others regarding the fulfillment of the duties and his obligations. I like to tell a story to highlight this point. It is about paying tribute to a king. A population had to pay tribute to the king in kind after every harvest. So in 1 year, they had a good harvest of wheat. And some farmers thought that, after all, everybody is paying tribute in kind. So they would mix chaff with the grains so as to keep more for themselves. And a little bit of chaff will not be noticed in the granary. So he did it. He went to the granary, mixed it with grain and chaff, and threw it or placed it in the granary. Unfortunately, that year everyone thought in a similar way. And at the end, when the king came to check the granary, he found more chaff than grains. And he had very little that year to take care of the needs of the kingdom. When we withhold our gifts from placing the common good of our congregation, we will be impoverishing what we could achieve for the good of the church. Irresponsibility is, in that sense, withholding for ourselves what God has given us and impoverishing the community by not sharing what we have with them. The life and mission of the congregation is a collective responsibility which we should assume together according to one's roles, functions, and gifts. I invite you to take some time in this year, particularly when we contemplate the beautiful life of our founder. How responsible and accountable am I in living the demands of my vocation and that of the mission? How do I contribute to the mediocrity which we often lament about consecrated life today? And how willing am I to contribute to rendering our congregation a credible witness of the joy of the gospel? The congregation is refounded in each Claretian vocation, and in the way we assume responsibility for the gift of our vocation and the mission entrusted to our congregation. the best Jubilee homage we can give to our founder is assuming responsibility for our vocation and mission together and contributing generously to enrich the people of God from our charismatic heritage. In this time of pandemic virus, we may be celebrating in very much simplicity, without much external celebrations. But let's take time to go deeper into the significance of our vocation and mission and the purpose of God in founding our congregation in the church. So I wish you all a very happy Foundation Day, and let us thank God for the gift of our founder and the co-founders and the charism in the church in which we are called to share, assume, and to contribute. Happy feast. God bless.